Ayodele Kumoli Johnson. Ayodele Kumoli Johnson is a seasoned insurance professional with over 15 years of experience in the Nigerian insurance industry. He currently serves as the head of HNI, High Network Individual Business at Coronation Insurance PLC, where he leads strategic initiatives tailored to affluent clients. It delivers bespoke insurance and risk management solutions. He is a sales expert with a strong track record in business development, client relationship management, and driving revenue growth across multiple insurance segments. Mr. Ayodele holds a master's degree in risk management and insurance and is a student member of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria, CIIN. Is actively pursuing further professional development to stay at the forefront of industry standards. And beyond his professional career, Mr. Ayodele is a dedicated father, a loving husband, and committed to balancing excellence at work with family life. So I want you all to make welcome with me as keynote speaker for today, Mr. Ayodele Kumoli Johnson.
Thank you very much, Telani. It's a great pleasure to be here today. Yes, like you said, it's been a long journey in the insurance industry, but most importantly, as a father and having so much responsibility for my children, it is an honor to be able to come to speak to what basically affects the future of our children. So I want to say thank you for having me, and I hope that we're going to be having so much fun, discussing the future of our children today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming today, sir.
Okay, so we'll just kick in and get started, to what we're here to discuss about today, which is definitely protecting the lives of our children. As a father, as earlier said in the remarks that was, given about me, I'm a father of three. I love my children. I love my family. And most importantly, I want to make sure that their future is guaranteed. And that's why we're, said we should come together. We're wonderful parents, our fathers, our mothers, intending parents to come and discuss about the future of our children. So I understand I have about 20 minutes to, go through this. I'll try as much as possible to make put everything together in that 20 minutes, right? Okay, so we kickstart with protection. We all understand what protection is, as to life, right? And then concerning our children, once we start to have children, the responsibility we have as parents is to ensure that they are protected. Yes, we provide shelter, we provide education, constantly on our minds. The protection of our kids is very important to us. So we're going to be looking at, we'll start with, life itself, as it were, growing up as a child. I understand what it meant to be protected. Okay, we're going to be looking at life scenarios, vis-a-vis growing up, and then also bringing the element of insurance into this. So to kickstart, allow me to share my screen, which will guide us through this process. So just give me a few seconds while I bring that up. Okay, kindly confirm to me that you can see my screen. Talani, can we see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So the theme says protecting your child's future. Like I said earlier, every parent and everything that matters is about protecting the life of our children. This is basically understanding the fact that holding their hands, okay, and helping them with their future is basically the number one reason for us to continue to take care of the children. When life misses, a bit should these children be affected. Yes, we never expect unforeseen circumstances. We always pray that nothing bad happens to our children. But most importantly, what are we doing as parents to make sure that
Sorry, Ayodele.
yes.
Okay, I think a couple of people are having issues seeing your screen, so maybe you should try and share and reshare again.
Okay,
Yes, please.
let me quickly attend to that. Just a few seconds, please. Okay, I guess we'll just go on without the slides. The network is available, them back up. But just not to take our time. Um, so what we're talking about is basically protection for one of them an age is to making sure that protected. Okay, while growing up, I'll quickly bring in some scenarios where immediately I had some experiences. My parents at that point, it looked like maybe they were doing a little too much, they were trying to take me back then. But in my own understanding, I felt, oh, I was of age, and then I could do things. At over 18, I felt there were certain things I could, by myself. But I had experiences with my dad where he would sit me down and then made me understand that, oh no, this is how you need to go, and that is him, trying to come in to let me have a guaranteed future, protection. Another scenario happened, party, and we wanted to go there looking all good, to impress. And then my friend went to his father's car. And when we were on our way back, my dad, his dad, wait for us. Now, what I'm trying to bring into this discussion is the fact that his own dad dealt him in very, very serious way. But my dad made me understand that the decisions we take now, at that young age, will determine our future. Talani, are you there?
Yes, Ayodele, I'm here. Okay, we can see your screen now.
Okay. Can you see my screen now? All
Yes, we
right.
can see your screen now.
So
Thank
taking
you
it
very
from
much.
where I stopped, right? The little story about my it brought my attention to the fact that at that young age I was already responsible for my decisions and all that, right? And that he had that sole responsibility to making sure that he was there to protect me and my future. And it exposed me to the fact that I was of age to be convicted of a crime, right? But that's saying that parents are totally responsible, for their children's future. Now, bringing it to insurance, okay, there's so many policies. Let me take it back a little bit. While we were younger, we never had that opportunity, or our parents never had that opportunity, to know about insurance. Penetration today as to the insurance business in Nigeria is about 1%, if not less than, right? So we didn't have so much information, or our parents didn't have so much information about policies that could safeguard our future. But today, right, the policies are there for the children's protection. The policies are there for us to take. I often hear so many comments, people saying insurance is too expensive, insurance is not true to people. A lot of, yes, we have some instances when those questions come up. Some people even go as far as saying insurance is for the rich. But with the policies that are available, especially in Coronation Life Assurance, as we speak, there are policies that can guarantee the protection of your children. Yes, we want to live long. We want to be there to see our children's children. We want to be part of their lives. But the major point is we cannot be there forever. Now, when the unforeseen circumstance happens, and the reality of living and then passing on comes into play, um, do we have the protection in place, to make sure that the children's lives are not affected? Right. I'll give a little story again, and it's what we all know. Back in the days while we were growing up, I had a couple of friends that lost their parents, and then that has impacted in their life till today. Their education stopped, a lot of things went wrong, dreams could not be realized. And that is what we're talking about today, majorly saying that these children have dreams. They have dreams to be doctors, to be lawyers. Now, if the unforeseen circumstance sets in and the parent is there, no longer there to support their dreams, does that means that their dream would, just go into extinction? Does that mean that they can't be what they want to be in life? So that is one of the reasons we're coming out today to have this session and to make us understand that there's so many things we can put in place, to assure and to make sure that these children, even if anything happens to them, and it's not only death, right? Say, for instance, there's a critical illness, there's a disability that stops the parent from providing, um, that financial obligation for the child, to progress in life. So one of the major things we're looking at is making sure that the dream of the child does not end. I can tell you that for me and my three kids, I'm going to live long, right? We already have plans in place for them, and then we're encouraging, parents to also toe that line. I'll quickly tell you a brief story about a client back in 2022. I'd been on this customer for a while about life insurance. Yes, they had their own objections, but because I constantly, encourage and told, this customer that this is a security for your children. Eventually in 2022, he took the plan, right? And then 4 or 5 years into that plan, um, he passed on. But that didn't stop the children's education. As a matter of fact, the wife was so happy that he had put this into place. There was always a support system at every anniversary of this policy, which we call the Education Legacy Plan in Coronation Life Assurance, which is one of the major policies we're going to be highlighting today. Okay, and then this ensured that the dreams of the children did not stop. And that is what we're talking about today. That's what we're speaking to today. That is what we want people to understand, our parents to understand, the intended parents, that these children's lives, has to be protected more than when we're around. Just in case we're no longer, available to help them, it doesn't stop their dream. You understand? My dad is late, right? Yes, like I said in the past, there was no room for him to take insurance for us. But today we have the opportunity to do this. Now, what we're talking about saving. Okay, this is a form of saving. This policy we're talking about, the education legacy plan, it's a form of savings. Okay, and then you use the savings. It has the saving element, and it also has the life risk element. So you're saving, and at the same time, you're securing the future of your children. It's also a means to set aside funds. A lot of times we have a lot of things coming up in life, and then taking, some financial that determines and request some financial obligations. But once you have this set apart, nothing can, take that away from you. And majorly, the major thing we're talking about today is protection. Okay, protection is very, very essential. As a parent, as a father, every time I come back from work, seeing those children is what gives me joy, right? And then when we grow old, and see them doing wonderfully well, is one thing that I'm very certain will bring us joy. But what if? What if is what we're talking about today? What if we're not there to what if we're not there, to protect them? Do we have things in plan? Yes, education, we pay for education, we give them shelter, but majorly, how are we extending this protection beyond these things that we're doing? Now, what this policy does, the education legacy plan, what it does in simple terms is to protect. Okay, so what it does is you set money aside, for continuous payment of school fees. Okay, that's what this policy does in a situation where the parent is no longer around to support them, to continue the education. How it works is just, you continually pay premiums every month. You tell us, oh, for example, I want to be able to save 50,000 naira every month, for the next 7 years or for the next 10 years. Okay, to secure my children's or my child's, future, right? And then what pays out? And maturity, you get your money back. So it's not like you keep saving and at the end of the day stories start to come. You get your money back, right? And if the policyholder passes on, the savings plan is still intact. As a matter of fact, that's the major benefit, of this plan. So when the policyholder, which is the parent, passes on, there's that guarantee that, the beneficiaries, you will always get, the benefits of this policy. Now, the plan at a glance, it's just core protection against debt and unexpected permanent or temporary disability. We have some extras that also come with this product, right? Which is rewarding your child when they do exceptionally well in the academics. Yes, we reward the children. So this is not something that is basically targeted towards, long term, right? Even as they excel in their education, the policy tends to always appreciate, the efforts, the exceptional efforts these children are putting into play. Another one is the critical illness option. We all live, we all work day in, day out. Again, always trying to make sure that we are protecting this child. But as we grow in age, some illness will set in. Now, when this, comes to play, and then we cannot or we're unable to, do our day-to-day activities, this policy also kicks in, to make sure that their dreams does not stop. Okay, I hope we are getting along. Telani confirmed to me that we're still on good track. Okay,
Yes, I really will with you.
yes. So basically, what I said in the past is about setting a monthly goal and saying that every month I want this particular savings for my child, and then there's a risk, a life element, to that policy. We have different policies in coronation that you can kick into. We have investment plans, we have savings plans, we have this education legacy plan, right? And we have major life assurance plans that you can also take as parent, right? You're covered while savings. So when you're putting in some savings into plain coronation life assurance, there's an element of risk. I cannot overemphasize that for certain reasons. There are savings and there are savings. In coronation life assurance, your savings guarantee that you have some element of a life cover. And that is a big one you can hardly get in other forms of savings. So we have some examples of the type of contributions you can take. For a space of 7 years, you contribute about 50,000, like I said earlier, and then the total contribution, which is your sum assured, is 4.2 million, and that is what you're looking at. This is not limited to this monthly contribution. It depends on your monthly or on your monthly budget, for this kind of policy. So, like I said, it's something that we need to look at as parents from the insurance angle, as well as how we look at the general basic life protection. So I think we've been able to, talk about, how we can look at, life insurance as to protecting our children's future. I want to say thank you for this wonderful opportunity to address our esteemed parents. And I hope that as we, move on to make sure that we are responsible fathers, and mothers, right? We continue to think in the direction of insurance to protecting our children's life. Thank you very much, Tolani, for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you very much, Ayodele, for that eye-opening keynote. And I'm sure that our audience, we all have, a lot to reflect on from what Ayodele have said. I'll just say one of the few things that I have also learned from what our keynote speaker had mentioned. And one of the things that stood out for me is the framework, the simple framework which he showed to us that speaks about, to save, the legacy plan that helps us to save, to set aside funds, and also to protect. So, you make monthly payments depending on your sum assured, depending on the amount and number of period you want to save the money for. And also that way you are able to set aside a certain amount of money to protect your children's future. And in case of emergencies, life is a risk in itself, right? So in case of emergencies, in case of illness, in case of death or anything, we know that your children's future are not going to come to an end. Their education legacy is still going to continue. So I really want to say thank you very much once again. So we're going to be moving to our panelist session. We're going to be moving to our panelist session. And before we introduce our panelists, we're going to be having a poll that is going to be popping up on your screens. A poll is going to pop up on our screens, and I would like us to answer the questions. I want to believe we can see the poll, so we can just answer. I think we have about 3 or 4 questions just for us to answer. Okay, so I'm going to be introducing our panelists to us. We have 2 panelists. They are going to be answering some questions that would better give us an understanding of what today's webinar is about. I have with me Mr. Segun Aremu. Mr. Segun Aremu is the Executive Director and Group Chief Investment Officer of Whitecrest Partners Limited. He oversees the financial services group comprising of asset management, stockbroking, private equity, investment banking, bureau de change, and a microfinance bank. He has over 15 years of experience in the financial services sector, and Mr. Segun has demonstrated leadership across capital markets, portfolio management, collective investment schemes, and financial advisory. He is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, FCIB, and the Institute of Investment Advisors and Portfolio Managers, FIAPM. He is also an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, ACS. Beyond his professional achievements, Mr. Segun is a faculty lecturer at James Hope University. He is a mentor to thousands through financial literacy initiatives and also a strong advocate for a smarter financial decision making. My dear audience, please let's make welcome Mr. Segun Aremu.
Thank you very much, Tolani.
Thank you very much, Mr. Segun. Good to have you here. Also, we have another special panelist with us. We did a balanced panelist, so we have a male panelist and a female panelist. Now I'm going to be introducing Mrs. Olufumi Adenipekun. Mrs. Fumi is a seasoned risk and compliance officer with over 17 years of experience in analyzing and reviewing risk activities across projects, policies, products, and people. Her career spans both the financial and non-financial service industries, where she has consistently delivered value by strengthening compliance frameworks, mitigating risks, and ensuring sustainable business practices. She also holds an MSc in Risk Management and Insurance from the University of Lagos and a BSc in Economics from Babcock University. Ms. Fumi is a SEC-sponsored compliance officer, a member of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria, CIIN, and an associate member of the Chartered Risk Management Institute of Nigeria, CRMIN. She's also actively involved in leadership and advocacy for women in business through a membership in Women in Management, Business and Public Service, WIMBIS. My dear audience, please let's make welcome Mrs. Olufumi Adenipekun.
Thank you, Tolani. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Olufumi. It's good to have you here.
Same here.
So we are going to be having some questions for us today. We prepared some questions and we want to experience your wealth of knowledge. I'm sure that our parents are ready to learn from you. I'm sure that our parents also have some questions that they want to know about. Okay. So I'm going to be starting with Mr. Segun. Mr. Segun, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Tolani. I thought it was ladies first, but today is men first.
Today is men first.
All right, I'm happy to be here.
Men first. Thank you very much, sir.
Welcome.
So we have a question here that says that many parents believe investments alone. I think let me not say from my own generation now. I'll say from your own generation. One of the things, I don't think insurance was widely known, or it wasn't as popular as people that already talks about stocks, real estate, savings, investments. So many parents believe that investment alone, like stocks, shares, real estate, will secure their children's future. However, from your perspective, we would like to know what critical risks or uncertainties can only insurance effectively cover? How can our parents who are unable to secure other investment portfolios, how can they leverage insurance to protect their children's future?
Thank you, Tolani, for that question. And again, everyone, good morning. I also want to appreciate the team for bringing me on board again, and also the keynote speaker for that amazing session. Let me just start by saying this. that if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And if you fail to plan for your children, then you're planning to fail them. That's what it means. And let me give a story. Years ago, I met with a lady. I shared on my LinkedIn actually. This lady got married. They built well together and her husband. And in 4 years, 5 years before the marriage became 5 years, the husband sadly passed away. And they had a baby girl that was with them. It was a tragic experience because the family of the husband came and took away everything they had, not even minding about caring about the child's health, the child's education. They just took everything. Only what her and her husband has quietly secured and without nobody's knowledge. That's what saved them. Let me say this, that as you go ahead in life, we do investment, which is very good. But you see, insurance gets to protect what investment build. And when you're doing investment, you have several other types of risk that you have. Market risk, operational risk, different types of risk. But insurance gets to give you what I call, it protects you against life risk. It secures a future today. So the investment aspect is good, which you have. But you see, again, insurance protects what investment build. And because there are also other risks that have to do with life that is not done by those investments. Because if you invest, you can have various issues, maybe accident risk or several types of risk. But as you go ahead in life, you found out that life risk is not secured. And that is where insurance comes in. And that is why you have this element of sum assured in insurance. I remember there's this movie that I used to watch years ago growing up. And this father told this life on one local production. This man told his son, jump down from a roof of a building. Jump down, let me catch you. And the boy jumped. And the father now left him. In life, don't trust anybody. What I'm saying, what that was telling us is that our parents are there, as fathers, as mothers, are there to protect our children and give them a life even after we leave. So what I'm saying again is this, that there is need for us to also impute insurance products, especially for their education and their life, that can help them beyond today. And let me end by saying this, that as a parent, every investment that you make, you will always need what they call liquidity and safety. What insurance gives you is that you have liquidity in the time of transition or demise or uncertainty that comes in. With the sum assured that comes in, there's a multiplier effect as well that comes to that person, ensuring that you indemnify the child and also get them safe and guarantee a future that they can bank on. And so also with this, they can achieve their dreams that you truly planned for them and they also plan for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Segun. I think that was a lot. That was a lot. I think I picked a lot from what he has said. I'm seeing insurance from the perspective that even when I have invested, I still need insurance to secure my investments.
Yeah.
So, parents, let's not just think about those investments that we want to make. Yes, they are good investments, but there's also the aspect of securing those investments that we are making. Thank you very much, Mr. Segun.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll be asking another question and I'll be directing this to Mrs. Olufumi, our risk specialist in the house. Okay, so I have a question here, Ma, that says, family often plan for school fees and education costs, but what hidden or overlooked risks could derail a child's financial security that insurance is uniquely positioned to cover? So I think this set of questions I'm asking now is, okay, we know about other form of investment, other form of cost, other form of expenses, but what are the things that are quite unique to insurance? So even when people plan for their school fees, for their education costs, what are the other things that could actually affect a child's financial security that is uniquely that is specific and unique to insurance to cover?
All right, thank you, Tolani. Good morning, everyone, once again. So insurance specifically would only help where you have the death of a parent, where you have disability, where you have maybe a medical condition that is now putting you into a debt. So, and then sometimes when you have illnesses, I remember Ayodele, our keynote speaker, talking to us about critical illnesses and how we can get covered. Those are things that it's only when you have an insurance that you get protected. So we're talking about having a breadwinner in a home, passing on suddenly. It is only when you have insurance that you can cushion the effect of the death of a breadwinner. And not only talking about breadwinner, we have what we call stay-at-home parents too. Those ones you can think that they are not bringing any income to the table. But when a parent that is not working suddenly dies, all activity that that parent is doing at home, it now rests on either the other parent, guardian, or family members. But if you have an insurance for that person, it can cushion the effect. We also can talk about educational disruption. So if there's a disability as a breadwinner or as a stay-at-home parent, and you cannot function effectively, all your activities that you've been carrying out before, there's a burden that brings on the child, that brings on the relatives. But if you are insured, you can actually cover yourself, and the effect that will have on you, the immediate effect can be removed and it can be lessened. So those are things that, aside the fact that you are paying school fees, you are looking at the cost, those are risks that we all go about every day with, that we do not plan for if we are not insured. And the only way that we can have succor if such thing happens, either to us or to our beneficiaries, is to get an insurance. I know that there have been so many misconceptions about insurance, and which is why we are coming up having this webinar to let people know and understand that insurance is it is no longer is a necessity. It is not luxury. A lot of people see it as luxury, that I don't have the money, I can barely feed myself, I can barely take care of my family. But from the little you have, let me tell you, if you are no longer there, that little becomes nothing to your family members, to your children. We're talking about protecting our children's future. That little that you are complaining that you do not have now, when you are no longer there, there's absolutely nothing for your family to fall back on. And that is why we're saying, for the future of your child to be protected, you need an insurance.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Olufumi. Thank you very much. So I want to ask our audience, this is to our audience, I really hope we are taking notes, because this is a once in a lifetime kind of webinar, and you don't want to miss out on any important information that is going to be passed out today. Thank you very much once again, Mrs. Olufumi.
Thank you.
Okay, so do I have Mr. Ayodele on call?
Yes, Tolani.
Good morning. It's good to have you again.
Thank you.
So I have another question. I have another question for you. I'm sure that a lot of people are wanting to hear from you again. Okay, so Mr. Ayodele, from your perspective, and also with what you have taught us during the keynote session, why should families view insurance, not merely as a policy, but as a vital component of long-term financial planning? Growing up, one of the things that when it comes to talking about wealth, talking about financial plannings, a lot of the things that we were brought up with were mainly around investments, savings, share stocks, real estate, and the likes. But why do you think at this period that we have, families should view insurance, not just as a policy, not just as something that, oh, I'm just giving my money to one company, like that, but as a vital component of long-term financial planning. Given the low rate of insurance penetration in Nigeria, how can a shift in mindset empower parents to better protect their children's future? There are a lot of people that you go to and they're like, oh, what is insurance? Why do I need insurance? So from your own perspective, why do you think they should view insurance as a vital component for long-term financial planning?
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Telani. That's a very fantastic question. Um, so I totally acknowledge the fact that this is the what is around, about insurance. Penetration is extremely low. A lot of people don't know about this, But I'll kick in by starting to say that what is the point of investing, having an investment that is not protected, right? You're working day in, day out, you're investing, and there's no guarantee that if anything goes wrong, that investment is protected. So our children, our kids are investments. If you agree with me, for me, they are my investment, And then if everything I'm doing is to invest in them, why wouldn't I want to protect them, for the future? So basically, insurance is a safety tool. Okay, you're putting all the money in some form of business, and then there's no guarantee that this is highly protected. So for me, it's a function of why put things together and not get that assurance that it's safely secured. And that also comes to play when we look at the lives of our children. Yes, it is understandable that in this world of ours today, we don't have so much experience or exposure to what this insurance policies can do to our lives. But we're using this medium to educate our parents and tell them that one of the things we're trying to bring to fore here is to make us understand that there's no point investing and not safeguarding that investment, right? So insurance is a safety tool that we should look at, and make sure that that protection plan is there at every point in time of our life. Penetration is low, yes, we understand, but this session is one session that we're looking at to help us in that education aspect as to what the life insurance can help us do as a safety tool and to protect the lives of our children where we're no longer there to give them that protection. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dele. And I think I would also I will applaud Coronation Life Assurance Limited for actually coming up with this webinar, because webinars like this are one of the ways to create some sort of awareness to the people about insurance, to let people know that there is something called insurance, and there's also a way that they can protect the future of their children. Thank you very much, panelists. Okay, so I'll be moving to another round of questions that I've prepared for us. And I'll be starting again with Mr. Segun. So, Mr. Segun, as an investment professional with over 15 years of experience, in the financial industry, how do you see insurance fitting into a family's overall wealth management and financial strategy? I'd mentioned earlier that, most times when people want to talk about financial or wealth management, they tend to focus more on investments, on savings and the likes, but kind of leave insurance out of the discussion. So how do you think insurance fits into a family overall wealth management and financial strategy, especially as it regards to protecting the future of children?
All right, thank you very much, Tolani, and well done to all the other speakers. From what you have asked, what came to my mind? What came to my mind was, why build what you cannot protect? You see, makes sense. You see, by 2050, boys will have become men, girls will have become women, ideas that have become industry. But any seed you don't sow today will not become harvest. What I'm saying is that any intention to not put protection in the plan of your finances as for today, you will not harvest anything. For every investment, there's something called upside, there's something called downside. Upside is the income you can get, the return you can get, how it goes positively. But the downside is talking about what can go wrong. Because not just to give your children an opportunity to make money, to leverage, yes. But what about continuity when you're not there? And this is why, for me, I kind of love what people are doing about when it comes to this children education, especially. That the child, one of the best thing you can ever give to a child is education. And in Yoruba, we say something, "Omotako, magbetakota," meaning that the child that you don't train, the how that you build, now you go fail am. You get? So in financial strategy, as you plan, as you make adjustment for future as allocation, you must understand that insurance is a balance, an equalizer. It takes care of your downside while you also keep building the upside. So that is why the insurance policy for education and for your children guarantees the future. And that is how what I would say is that as you buy stocks, as you buy bonds, as you invest asset management, also think about continuity of that investment, even while you are gone, or when you have, or when you are ill, or when something happens to you that you do not plan for. Because again, beyond profit is safety. And I've been here for quite a while, like you said, in this space. I have discovered that the most important investment needs that many Nigerian investors need, that they don't say, is safety. Someone says, "Sheikh, I want give me return, give me return." Okay. When they lose 1 naira, they'll come and hold your tie like this. As usual. That's an average person wants to be safe, wants to feel safe. So also your child, they need that safety. So one thing is that as you plan your financial projections, your financial planning, put insurance in there to take care of your downside risk and see it as an equalizer and to balance your investment strategies. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Shegun. I feel like you've been giving me punchlines, and I want to believe I'm not the only one that is learning from Mr. Shegun this morning. Our audience, I want to believe we are taking notes and we are jotting down every vital information we are hearing today. So 2 things too quickly that I think I got from Mr. Shegun, majorly protection and continuity. He said, why build what you cannot protect? That is something that we need to take home and ponder on. And as a financial analyst, we have a principle in accounting that talks about going concern. It's a principle that talks about how a business continues even after the demise of the owner. So the business does not just die when the owner dies. It's a form of continuity. And I think that's also one of the things insurance does. It gives your children a form of continuity. Their life doesn't stop when your life stops, or probably when an illness occur, or a form of accident or anything. So it gives them a form of continuity. Thank you very much, Mr. Shegun.
Thank you, Olani.
Yes. So, Ms. Olufumi, I have another question for you. We've seen pandemics, e.g. COVID 2019. We've seen pandemics, currency devaluations, inflation, spikes, shake household finances. I mean, I remember how COVID period was, the lockdown, especially, I think it was even worse in Lagos, because I think in Lagos, the lockdown was even more extended than in other parts of the country, right? How it affected household finances. So from a risk officer's lens, how can insurance help families remain resilient through such systemic shocks? And remember that things like pandemics are not planned for. I know we always talk about how with insurance we can protect ourselves from risks, at least. Anyway, risks also speaks about unforeseen circumstances. So we are not even planning for those events that would happen. So from your perspective, Ma, how can insurance help family remain resilient through such systematic shocks?
Yeah, thank you, Tolani. So, we talking about pandemics, natural disasters, economic crisis, conflict, different things. There are things
Yes.
that you don't expect to happen, but when it
Yes.
happens, how do you stay protected? How do you remain at least at the point of, we say in insurance that we want to put you at a place where you were before that
Yeah.
occurrence of the event that is
What is
putting
it?
you into a loss, sort of. So if when you look at pandemics, when you look at natural disasters, I will start with EndSARS. Nobody expected the magnitude at which that event
Yes.
escalated.
Mm-hmm.
So let me use myself as an example. During EndSARS, where we were staying at that point in time, the house was boggled. And then because we had insurance for some of the items, we were able to recover. But for things that were not insured, we lost them. That's an example of what can happen when you don't plan. It wasn't expected. The EndSARS came, people became unnecessarily violent, and the whole country was thrown into chaos from different parts of Nigeria. It wasn't planned. Also, for pandemic, the church I attend, before pandemic, this Ilera Eco started.
Yes.
And then in the women's, what's it called, group, the head of our women group was the one championing that Ilera Eco. So they were bringing people to the church and saying, please, for people that don't understand, it's health insurance. Ilera Eco is health insurance. And then people were signing in. For those of us that were working in offices, we didn't see the need to do it anymore. But surprisingly, this woman is an entrepreneur. She didn't sign in for it, and we lost her to COVID. When she died at her service of song, when everybody was crying, the sisters were giving testimonials, and the first thing they said was, our sister was championing this health insurance, but she didn't take one for herself.
Wow.
So those are things that we take carelessly. We look at it like it can never happen. It can never be me. And then, in this part of the world, everything is spiritual. In fact, I still remember in church over the weekend, somebody telling me, okay, so the person knew I'd worked in a couple of financial institutions. So he was asking, are you still in the bank? And I said, no, insurance. The next thing he said, God is our insurer.
I was coming to that.
Yeah, so all those myths removes, it's like it covers us and it does not allow us to realize that we are living a naked life. That if
The
anything
Lord is my
happens, we are
shepherd.
exactly. And those are the issues that we have. And let's talk about even health insurance. Sometimes you will go to the hospital, your family members will be healed. You don't have 1 naira in your pocket, and you need to take them to the hospital. If you don't have an insurance, how do you do that? So, and now we're not talking about our children. I would not take my testimonial until it's time, but I have the living testimony of how life insurance would have made an impact in someone's life. Educational insurance would have made an impact in a child's life while in school. There are so many things we are taking for granted that we should not take for granted if we are insured. And then, even our country would have been better. A lot of us still rely on, government would do this for me, government would do that for me. Meanwhile, if I had gotten your insurance, it would have put you in a comfortable position. So those are the things that as parents, we should think about. How do you want your children to feel when you are no longer there? If anything happens to you, what legacy are you leaving behind for them? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I was actually going to come to the part of, people saying, "Oh, God forbid this cannot happen to me." I think maybe in coming times we're going to speak about religion in insurance because it also play a vital role on how people see insurance. I mean, if you go to if you speak with some people, right, they tell you, "Oh, what's the need to do insurance? It's God that is come out watching every one of us." Yes. even though God is watching every one of us, there are things that you're supposed to do. You do not just say because God is your provider, you do not work.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible already says that poverty will meet with you. So you do not
Yes,
just say because God is watching us,
my
I will not
shepherd.
take certain measures that I'm supposed to take to protect my children or protect myself. So thank you very much, Mrs. Fumi, for that insightful talk.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll be moving on to Mr. Ayodele. Most parents today did not grow up with insurance. If you go to the marketplace, if you go to the rural areas, if you say insurance, they have no idea what you're talking about, and they are not trustworthy kids. So the idea of using insurance to protect their children's future can feel unfamiliar or even overwhelming. And it is no surprise that they might even ask you, where do I start from? You're talking to them about insurance and they are lost, they are clueless. So from your experience, Ayodele, what practical advice would you offer to families who are just beginning their journey towards financial protection for their children?
All right, thank you very much, Tolani. First, allow me to say that I'm super proud to be part of the Coronation family, right? Because one of the things we're doing, for example, with this webinar, is to address what you have asked, right? A lot of people, I totally agree with you, do not even understand what insurance is all
Yes.
about. Okay. At some point in my life, I was in the retail space, and then we go to all these yalojas, and local
Mhm.
people, and some felt it was a scheme. Some say, oh, they have come to take our money, So there's a lot to do in that space, trust me.
Mhm.
And for us in Coronation, this is one thing that, we won't stop doing. This is one thing that it will be a regular occurrence for us. So addressing that issue about, parent people not understanding what insurance is all about. It's for us to, as individuals, increase penetration, especially my colleagues in, the insurance industry. One of the things we should also do is start with our families, start with our neighbors. Let's start with our environment. We all live in areas where you have CDAs and CDCs. Education of insurance does not just stop with the company or the government. As individuals too, one of the best things that we can give to your neighbor is letting them understand what insurance is all about. Yes, since you guys went a little bit down the religion line, even the Holy Book, right, says, and I'm sure the Quran also says that love your neighbor as yourself. So if I can take up a protection plan for my children, why not, educate my neighbor, to also let them understand that you need to put this in place. Recently, I was still having that engagement with a very close friend of mine. Okay. And then I told him, I said, I would initiate this thing for you. It was my best man at my wedding. And then he doesn't have any form of protection for the kids. Yes, like I always tell people, we pray to live long, but there's certain things or certain incidents that happen that you think might not affect you, or because you've taken care of this part on your side, anything that happens to your friend or somebody close to you indirectly would affect you. So it is our major responsibility as individuals in the insurance space to preach the gospel of insurance, either in life or in our assets and everything. A lot of people still do not believe in this thing called insurance. Quickly, let me give you another typical example away from life insurance. So I was prospecting a customer, and he was giving me objections because he had experience when it comes to insurance. And then, what I did was to ask him questions to help him solve that problem that he couldn't solve as at then. You understand? And that made him have so much, trust in me as to, insurance. And he began to, introduce me to a couple of, a couple of his friends. So 15 years of my life, yes, I've had experiences where people say, no, we're not interested. It now depends on how we, the preachers of this insurance, take it to them. And again, I'll bring it back to the fact that one of the things we're doing in Coronation is to make sure that the public, our parents, are aware about the benefits of insurance. That's what we're preaching here. We're preaching the benefits of insurance and how it will benefit, us as individuals and our children, or even extend it to our assets, as it were, in the long run. All right. Yes. Thank you very much, Dolan.
Thank you very much, Ayodele. So I'll be directing this to our audience, our parents, our guardians on the call, to also be your brothers and your sisters' keeper. People around you. Most of us women, we go to markets, we get things. So our neighbors, people around us, just tell somebody about insurance. It's going to go a long way for them. Thank you very much once again, Ayodele. All right, I would be directing this to Mr. Segun. Drawing from your capital market experience, what hidden risks, such as inflation, currency volatility, unexpected income shocks, do families often underestimate when planning their children's security?
All right. Thank you very much for the question, and thank you everyone for the wonderful comments. Let me start by saying that if you truly have a dream, as the morning shows the day, so the child shows the man. Let your steps from today begin to show it. That goes to mean that there are various risks that we have mentioned. Inflation risk, meaning the value of your currency, of your money coming down. There are currency risks that has to do with exchange rate, which is, as we speak, is quite stable to a very large extent. There are income shocks that has to do with job loss, business downturn, and quite a number of these things. You see, that is where insurance comes to mitigate these shocks. It's like you have a buffer that guides you. And the buffer is not only in the safety. The buffer is also in the liquidity that it provides for you at that time. And this is where it gets interesting, because the next thing every investor in Nigeria needs, apart from safety, that I have observed now, this personal now, not generic, is that they need liquidity. Now, Segun, I want my money, I have an emergency. And you say, okay, let me get your email. The next one day, in 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, your money gets to you. If you would have played it for 1,000 months, for 1 year, for 2 years, what I'm saying is that there can be unforeseen circumstances. And risk happens with all those inflation risk, currency risk, and all. It can happen. But insurance gets to give you liquidity opportunity. The fact that you can get the fund when you need it. And you see, I wrote something here that there is this effect of premium versus sum assured. Every time you look at the sum assured, it is always bigger or multiplied than your premium. There's this multiplier effect that comes with it that says that if something happens, the liquidity that you will get, it outweighs the premium you are paying. That is why insurance is a collective pool of investments from different people that say, okay, I want to insure this thing. Everybody's come together, believing that not everybody will have the same risk at the same time. But then it gives that level of safety. So what I'm saying to you is that insurance mitigates these shocks. You have education policy like what you are doing for your child, for your education, guaranteed fund structure. So whichever way you stand secured and you stay secure, and you guarantee and protect your downside risk that can happen with this different inflation and currency risk. And for inflation, let me say this: for inflation, there are many insurance products that also give interest rates. that also gives you like an investment plan where you also get income on it. Where you also so like double-edged. You have a sum assured there, then you also have an income on it. That helps to also give you a remedy against inflationary risk. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shegun, for that answer. Please, I'd like to encourage our audience to drop your questions in the chat box. If you have any questions for our panelists, feel free to drop your questions in the chat box. Okay. This is going to be for Mrs. Olufumi. We know that parents often focus on wealth building, investments, but ignore protection. So how should families balance the pursuit of returns with the need to manage risks through insurance? And Ma, based on your years of experience working with policies and frameworks, what do you think parents should look out for when choosing an insurance product for their families?
Thank you, Tolani. So as parents, I think it's important for us to understand that there is a place for investment and there is place for protection. So if you want to build investment, you have to look at your family size. One, you look at the age of your children, your own age. If you're a single parent, what's your age? If you're co-parenting, what's the age of your husband, spouse, or whoever? And then all of those things are things you factor into doing what we call an assessment of your risk. You know, I'm a risk officer, so I'm talking about the assessment of risk in this regard. And then when you want to, you know, there's this saying that a risk that has not been identified cannot be treated.
Yes.
So if as a person, you did not identify that, oh, I'm sitting on a risk of my child not getting the desired education. So let's put in quotes that word desired. For some of us, we might not have any plan for our children that, okay, you get the education no matter or wherever. So if anything happens, the option of going to maybe a public school is there for you. While some, their desired education is, my child must school abroad. My child must go to a private school. Do you understand? So those are the risks that you must identify. When you identify them, then you need to now assess it. So if I look at my income now, what is the probability? Like I said, for us, it's probability and impact is what we use a lot as risk experts. What's the probability that that will occur? Using our Christian mind, we'll say, God forbid, it will not occur. And using our Christian mind also, or using our religious mind, we will say, God will protect me. My children shall not lack. My children will always have, you know, all of that. We'll say that a lot. But if you, as a risk expert, we do what we call a worst case scenario. So if the worst comes to the worst, what can happen to my kids? And that is why we're saying, if you now do the analysis and you've seen that, oh, I'm exposed, if I don't have plans for my kids, then you need to take up policies to cater for that risk that you've identified. You want to protect yourself with the education plan. If I'm not there to support my child and pay this school fees any longer, then the insurance company should take over. If I'm not there, if I don't have the money to take my child to the hospital, then the health insurance should take over. You just need to now do that assessment and ensure that at every point in time, you are protected. And one other thing that we also do not do as parents is the fact that when we look at, so your income and your status in life today will be different in the next 5 years. So you need to reevaluate. You don't take up an insurance policy today and maybe your child is 2 years. By the time the child is 10, the needs would have changed. So you need to look at the policy and speak with your insurance company. You speak with us and say, oh, even my income has changed. I'm earning more. I can increase the amount I'm paying as premium on my insurance. Those are the things that we need to do as parents. So insurance is not, oh, I've taken it once and that is the end. Please evaluate your policies. We spoke about your policy anniversary. That's the 1 year anniversary, 5 years anniversary, 10 years. Look at how much you have set aside and look at your current situation, your economic status. Has it changed? Do you have another child? Because for some of us, we have even taken policies that we've included maybe only our first child. The second, third, fourth, or the siblings are not there. Can we do that and reevaluate so that we cover all the bases when we are no longer around? Thank you, Tolani.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Olufumi. So to our parents, based on what Mrs. Fumi have said, I would also encourage us to identify our risks. Let's look at what are the likely uncertainties that we think we might face. Let us even know those things that we think that we are bound to face, and also assess our income. As our income grows, let us now also evaluate our policies. As my family expanded, do I have more children now? To also evaluate our insurance policies and make sure that we are not stale and that we are current with our current situation, our current economic situation. Thank you very much, Mrs. Olufumi. Once again, please, if you have questions, kindly drop your questions in the Q&A section. Okay, Mr. Ayodele, we've been enjoying your session. We have one more question for you.
Okay.
Okay, so given your background in sales and client relationship management, how do you overcome skepticism from parents who still see insurance as unnecessary or complicated? I talked earlier about how, some parents did not grow up with insurance, so they are clueless as to what insurance is. But you meet people that even talk down on maybe insurance companies, and stuff, probably due to past experience or something like that. So how, do you overcome this skepticism from parents who still see insurance as unnecessary and complicated?
All right. Thank you very much, Tolani. I'll quickly share an experience, a terrible one. So when I started my insurance career, we were thrown on the field, to go talk to people and then, discuss insurance with them. On a particular day, I was close to tears based on the feedback I got from approaching someone. It really hurt me so much, I thought I was going to quit. So when it comes to skepticism, it's something that comes with the job. And again, he had mentioned that in our own time, or our parents' time, there was next to nothing when it comes to, insurance. Okay, so that was a very terrible place for us to be. However, answering your question as to how I deal with all those skepticism is basically you just have to acknowledge, because in this space we're in, when it comes to insurance, you will get that a whole lot. So first thing to navigate that is to acknowledge and accept and listen to them based on their experience, based on their beliefs, right? Just be open and listen to what they have to say. And then from there, looking at protecting our children, one thing you want to start with from a sales perspective is not to push the products. Okay, it's not to push the products and say, oh, you need to buy this, you need to do this, no, that's not the way to go about it. The first thing is to understand what their goals are. When you start from that angle and understand what the goals are for the children, for the parents themselves. What are your goals, for these children? Gradually, you would tend to see that in that conversation, they themselves will begin to answer their questions. You understand? They will start to see the need, to bring in insurance into their lives and into the future of their children. So once you understand what their goals are, what they intend to achieve, what their plans are for their children, this will navigate that discussion into letting them understand the benefits of insurance. Again, building trust. Building trust is one of the things you will need to navigate whatever they have already had, as to insurance and the experiences. Once you can build trust by, first letting them see the benefits, let them also see the limitations. Okay, let them understand what this thing is all about. As salespeople, again, while I started, what you wanted to do, based on the fact that you've had targets from the office and all that, you just want to push the products and then talk. No, you should drive down and let them see what the benefits are, the cost implications, the limitations. It will go a long way in letting them see you as being honest and then bringing to them something that will be of benefit. And lastly, what you should do is make sure that they understand what they're buying. Once we don't have a bigger picture of what they are buying or what it will give to them or what the benefits are, right? Sell benefits. Don't sell the product. Sell the benefits. Let them see the benefits, especially in this context of protecting the future of our children. Once you let them see the reasons why this is extremely needed. And again, lastly, is to let them understand that notion that insurance is for the rich. No, I'm the head of HNI today. One thing I have understood is that a lot of people don't even understand how little the premium is what you pay, for insurance, and how little it can be, for parents. Some parents say, oh, so I've even been squandering this money doing, for entertainment, for dinners, for this and for that, not knowing that this can also be put into securing my children's future. So for me, how to talk to the fact that people don't believe in insurance or have doubts about insurance is to make them see the big picture as to securing the lives of their future of their children by taking some sort of insurance plan. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Tolani, let me quickly add
Okay.
that we had an experience this.
Sorry, for me, you're muted.
Yeah, we had an experience this year of a parent that we sold an insurance policy to last year at a school, and she bought the education plan for the child, education with investment. So what that means is, aside the fact that if anything had happened to her, we would have continued paying the child fees based on the sum, and then also given the sum assured would also be given to the beneficiary. But she outlived the the policy. So when it was close to the policy anniversary in August, I just received a random call. And typically I was busy. So when I called her back, I didn't even know who she was. She now introduced herself that she's a parent in so school. She bought her policy, and then it's almost a year. She lost her job. So because she lost her job, she didn't want to continue with the policy any longer.
Policy.
So I now asked her, do you want to wait till policy maturity or you want to terminate? She said she will wait because it was just few days to maturity. And she got the sum with interest. She was so happy because she said the misconception how there had been that you paid for insurance, are you sure you're going to get your money back?
Get your money
And
back.
the money were in millions. So it was like because she was working in a very good company in 2024 when she bought the policy. But unfortunately in 2025, she didn't have that job again and she was now looking for money. So that was when she placed the call. So, and it was an education plan which was covering her, and also she was making an investment. So I think for a lot of us, and for a lot of parents out there, the fact that we don't have that information is depriving us and our children of the benefits that we should have had.
Benefits. Yeah. Thank you very much, Ayodele and Fumi. And I think one of the things that we as parents should also be aware of is that, even as much as we are doing this for our children, we are also doing it for ourselves. Just like Olufumi had mentioned, about this person that had lost her job. In the previous question I had asked you, Fumi, we're talking about, when probably your economic status increases. Now, this is actually a situation of a downward trend of, your economic status, but she had been making those provisions prior to the period that, this unplanned event happened. So it can go either ways for anybody, and that is just the truth. It can be that you have a well-paying job at this period and you are able to, make your premium payments for your insurance policy, and anything can happen in the next 2 months, but you've been making those payments already, you've bought that policy already, and you've made that form of protection already for yourself and even for your children. So this is also to create a form of awareness to our parents, even as you are doing this, as you're taking on these insurance policies to safeguard your children's future, you are also safeguarding yourself, because life is a risk. We never know what can come at us at any point in time. Thank you very much, Olufumi and Ayodele. Thank you, our dear panelists. So we're moving on to the end. We still have a few questions for our panelists. I'll run through that very quickly. So I'm going to be giving this to Mr. Olusegun. Mr. Shegun.
Welcome.
Okay. Yes. So you've mentored thousands of people in financial literacy, right? So what misconceptions do people usually have, like from your experience? What are those misconceptions that people have about planning for their children's future, and how can insurance correct them?
All right. Thank you very much for your question, Tolani. That is very apt. Let me start by also adding some things to that thing you have just said right now. Is that for everyone on this call, if you can, write down 3 of your most valuable assets. Write down 3 assets that you have that are most valuable to you. Then also, in the same vein, write down 3 things you'd like to achieve in the next 2 years if money wasn't an issue. Write down 3 things you'd like to achieve in the next 2 years if money wasn't an issue. Now, the first question is about telling you that there are always things to protect. The second one is to tell you that there's always a future you want to achieve. And you see, in my year of mentoring people in thousands at several places, at several instances on financial literacy and all, what I have always discovered when it comes to planning future and everything is that many always like to live in the present. And I assume that the future will take care of itself. In this word, in quote, what will be, will be. Actually, it is what you make to be that peace. You make life happen. And that's why many people postpone investment. They make investment and insurance an event, not an habit. It should be something that you do daily, day to day. So people like to postpone insurance and say, oh, don't worry, I'll do it in the next 10 years, and I'll do it in the next 2 years, next 50 years. The truth is that yes, it's good to have investment, but it's not enough alone for protection. And that is why insurance has given you immediate protection to say, okay, no matter what's happening now, I'm investing, yes, but you see, there's something that covers material education at the moment, that is guarding them, is protecting them. even while we are building something. So people's misconception is that they like to postpone or procrastinate these things. Whereas it's always best to start now. So I will end by saying this. It is very important to make insurance, especially for your children's future, an habit, not an event. Don't wait till you get 1 billion, 1 million. Like what Ayo has said, is retail driven as well. Start from where you are. It's not about the amount, it's about the consistency. And let me just say this. Every fund that comes to you, it carries your past, your current, and your future. Every fund that comes to you have what they call the bread component and the seed component. The bread takes care of your today. The seed takes care of your tomorrow. Insurance takes care of your yesterday, today, and your tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shaga. That was very inspiring. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tolan.
Okay, I have a question for Mrs. Olufumi.
Yeah.
Yes, so I think I've had similar questions with Mr. Ayodele.
Okay.
So many families often underestimate life's uncertainties. I know as a risk person. So some parents delay buying insurance, believing, oh, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow, don't worry, I'll buy it tomorrow. So from your experience, what are the risks of procrastination when it comes to financial protection? You're also active in leadership and advocacy circles. What message would you share with parents today about balancing present needs with long-term planning for their children?
All right. Thank you, Tolani. I think is just to reemphasize all what we have been speaking about since. So I will start with my life story. When you were reading my bio, you spoke about me going to Babcock University. It will shock you that in my 300 level, this is kind of emotional, but I'll try. I lost my father while writing an exam. And then going to a private school, you know how devastating that can be. And I'm sure looking back, I'm thinking if my dad had taken an insurance policy, it wouldn't have been, we wouldn't have had the moments that were at that time. And this also affected my younger ones. Then I had 2 younger ones. And then we now had to, with my mom, do a plan of, oh, you can't go to a private university. You will wait. You know, that kind of a thing. It was emotionally draining. It was. In fact, if I remember it now, and I'm like, when I saw this invitation, it was one of the things that came to mind. So as parents, it is a risk we are living with every day when we delay or when we think I'll do it tomorrow or I will start when I have more money. That little that you have now, please start and ensure. And then it forms my decision when I started my own family. The first thing I told my husband was, we must take insurance policy, educational insurance policy for our kids. And at that point, we had, okay, how many kids are we going to have? Then the first one that we had that insurance policy. So those informed decisions that I took later on in life because of the experiences that I've had. And then in circles that I belong to, I champion insurance a lot. You know, you will discover that for a lot of us that are in associations that you are having cases of, oh, a former colleague or a student, your reunion circle died, and now you are contributing money for burial, you are contributing money for educational support for the family. I encourage them as much as possible. Let's take insurance policy. There's a group welfare insurance policy that we can have for these members that would take care of the family, take care of the education of the children. Those are things that we as an organization and as members of staff should continue to sing the song to people. because until it happens to you, before you will know, you don't want to be the statistics, because you know we are telling stories of different things that had happened. When the stories are sweet, it's very easy to tell. But when the stories are bitter, you live with that experience all through your life. So as a parent, I have 3 kids. I have instituted that into all the policies I've taken, ensuring that there is a plan for each child. There is an amount. And then one other thing, when you are taking plans, also ensure that there is no ambiguity as to how do you want this to be shared when you are no longer there. Do you want it to be 50-50 for all the children? Do you want it to be 70-30? How do you want it? Let's plan like we won't be here tomorrow. That's my word for everyone. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mrs. Olufumi, and we're very sorry for your loss. So this is to all our parents. This is to all our parents. Do not procrastinate. Procrastination does not help. It is not the fact that we are not even in charge of what will happen tomorrow is enough reason for us not to delay. That's why there is something called an emergency. It is, you have no idea when it can happen. So let us not procrastinate. Let's not just say, if we have the means, and Mr. Shegun had highlighted it again, that start from where you are. It is not until you have like that a lot of billions in your account before you can get an insurance policy. We have different kind of insurance policy as low as 5,000 naira for premium. You know, start from where you are and do not procrastinate. Insurance is covering for those risks. I remember Mr. Shegun had mentioned earlier that insurance is like protecting those things you're building. You don't want a situation where you built a lot and then one event just makes everything to crumble, and that will not be our portion. But get the insurance policy. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, our dear panelists. Okay, so we actually have a claim testimonials. There's a video that they are supposed to show. I want to confirm from the team if the video is not coming up. All right, thank you very much. So I'm going to move on with our questions. So this will be to Mr. Ayodele. Okay, so sir, can you share an example of how insurance solutions have helped secure a family's legacy or safeguarded children's well-being? I know that this is a space that you have been in, so you would have had 1 or 2 experiences about this. So please share with us an instance of how insurance solutions have helped secure a family's legacy or have safeguarded their children's well-being.
All right, thank you very much, Telani. So, you know, in this session, we cannot overemphasize the fact that we'll bring in a lot of personal experiences. Again, I extend my condolences to Fumi, you know, as to, but that is a typical example of a lifetime experience. You know, if there were things that had been done by daddy back then, things will have been better off. And again, I'll bring it to my story too. Not directly to me, but I had an uncle who was very close to me while growing up. It was like my favorite uncle. And then for every little thing, you know, that I didn't get from my dad, it was always there to cushion and get it from me and advise me. So when I started working in the insurance industry, I was always going to him. Take some form of insurance. He will say, Ayo, take 5,000, take 10,000, go and enjoy yourself, Jerry. Forget this insurance thing. You know, God is our protection. God is this. And yes, we all believe it. But if God says we should not be, pardon my word, stupid, you know, apply wisdom in, you know, our day-to-day activities. So I didn't relent, you know, at every point when we have opportunities to hang out and talk. I'll say, Uncle, please, you need to, okay, if you're not even taking care of your assets, you know, my cousins, you need to put in a protection plan for them. And luckily, in that year, he succumbed and he said, okay, you know what, so that you don't take life out of me, I'll put this in place for Junior, I'll put this in place for the sister, and true life experience. About 4 years down the line, we lost him to a tragic event. It was so emotionally draining that it affected the entire family. I'd even forgotten at some point that that plan was in place. It was at a visit to the family, and while I was looking at the kids, I said, come on, there's this plan in place for the family. I went outside, made some calls. They said he had even made that month payment about a week or 2 weeks before his demise, right? But at that point, I was very happy. Till today, to cut the long story short, right? When his wife sees me, the family are based in the United Kingdom. The children's education would have stopped. Okay, the first child, who is very close to me as we speak, I told him to join this call. I hope he's on this call. Till tomorrow, they're extremely grateful to me because at that then, my uncle never thought he passed on at the age of 64, right? He had never thought that he was going to leave them behind. He had everything put in place for them, but we lost him. It was very painful. But the good part, when his wife sees me today, she hugs me. She does. I told her not to say it anymore, but the smile that she gives to me, gives me comfort, and that's one experience that I share everywhere I go. That if not for that plan, the children would.
Hi, Adele. Okay, I just want to confirm. Am I the one who
And
can't
I
hear?
implore everybody to, take some form of insurance for their children, themselves, and their properties today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Mr. Ayodele. And again, I'll say this again. I'm writing down, and I want to believe everybody is writing down. So once again, if you have questions, put your questions in the Q&A section. Mr. Shegun had said something. He said, why build what you cannot protect? Why have children if you know that you are not going to put measures in place to protect them? And this is why insurance is very, very important. This is why insurance is very important to secure our children's future. Thank you very much once again, Mr. Ayodele. Okay, so I have one final question for Mr. Olusegun.
Thank you.
So, sir, if you had to give one financial literacy lesson to parents today in this webinar, what would it be in the context of safeguarding their children's future?
All right. Anyway, thank you very much. It's been an amazing time on this call so far, so good. And again, I especially condole with Olufumi. My love is with you, and God will keep carrying you. And also to Ayodele as well, to his uncle and all as well. God will keep helping you. All right. Beyond indemnity that insurance gives, really, is the peace of mind that it comes with. That you can do life with being rest assured that something is being taken care of. So I will just say this because of our time, is that don't delay protection while chasing growth. Don't delay protection while chasing growth. And this is why it's important, because again, insurance gives you a downside protection. Insurance helps to give you continuity while you keep investing to build wealth. And as you do all of this, the biggest thing you can do for your children is not just to give them opportunity and give them investment, but is to give them security. Because no matter what life brings, their future, their dreams are guaranteed. And you know why their dreams are guaranteed? It's because your children's dreams are valid. And the biggest investment you can ever make in your life is human capital investment. You keep making that investment for life. And in doing that, you are leaving a legacy that will outlive you and not put your children in pandemonium and in stress, even when anything happens that is unpalatable. Truth is that, like the best cat always say, stay prepared. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olusegun. Okay, I have one final question for Mrs. Olufumi. Okay. So risk officers often talk about transferring risk. How can parents practically understand these concepts when thinking about safeguarding their children's future?
Okay, thank you. So in risk management, we'll say that to manage risk, it's either you tolerate, you treat, you transfer, or you terminate. So it's 4 T's: tolerate, treat, transfer, or terminate. So the ones we're talking about is the transfer. Now, if you have a risk that you know that you don't have the expertise to manage the risk, then you look for people that are trained, that have that the capabilities, skills to manage the risk. And that's what we're saying at this time for education plan. What we're saying is, when you are no longer there, you cannot manage that risk. And then you don't want to leave the education, the future of your child in the certain hands of family members, friends, and relatives. So why not transfer it to people with the skills that can manage your child's future, in as much as you know that you will no longer be there. So let's remember, we are transferring because we will not have that skill, because we may no longer be there. That's the essence. Or we may not have that capacity. So aside the fact that a parent can die, it is also possible for you to be disabled. It is also possible for your economic status to have changed. And then you are now moving that risk to people that have the expertise. That's the essence of transferring. And you are planning in such a way that you are not leaving it to chance. You are not leaving it totally into God's hands. Yes, there is God, but do something for yourself. That's what we're saying. And we have the skill to do that. And that's why we're saying, get a policy, get an education policy for you to secure your child's future. We are the one with the expertise. Transfer that risk to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Olufumi. And I think the insurance company, Coronation Life Assurance, is also doing a very good job at collecting your risk, dear parents. So transfer your risks to Coronation Life Assurance. Let we with the expertise, help you manage these risks when they occur. Because there are times, like Ms. Olufumi has said, things like disability can occur. Terminal illnesses can happen, that will result in you not being able to manage your children's future. So allow those with the capacity, allow those with the expertise to help manage these risks. Thank you very much, Mrs. Olufumi. So I also have one final question for Mr. Ayodele. Mr. Ayodele, are you with us, sir?
Yes, I'm here.
Right.
Yeah.
So many parents perceive insurance as either too expensive or something reserved for high net worth individuals. So there are people that when they hear insurance are for the NEPO people. They're not for our category. So from your experience working with HNIs, what insights can you share that might help parents, especially those hesitant about insurance? How can you help them understand how it can be a powerful tool for securing their children's future?
All right. Thank you very much, Tolani. Yes, it's amazing to state that, in my experience working with high net worth individuals, they don't put anything to chance. And maybe that's particularly one of the reasons why they are where they are. Okay, so a couple of experiences where people tell me I don't joke with my insurance because in the event that the unforeseen circumstance happens, I don't need to bother myself, and they understand the fact that if insurance is in place and then the unforeseen circumstance sets in, insurance steps in to put them back to the initial position they were in, right? And that is one major thing that they don't joke with. Now, bringing it back to your question about how people perceive insurance as being expensive, you had just said it, that in Coronation Life Assurance, we have insurance products as low as 5,000 naira. You'll find out that some of us even spend as much as 50,000 on other things. I know people that spend close to that on data. When it comes to entertainment, people spend more than 100,000. But we have insurance policies, we have savings plans that the cost is unimaginable, right? And what I tell my customers is, let's sit down with you. Let's know what your life goals are. Let's know what your plans are. And then we can now tailor what insurance plans fit into that. So for those people that actually think, insurance is on the high side, the first thing for you to do is reach out. Let's reach out to us. Let's sit down with you. Let's understand what your values are, what you intend to achieve, what your protection plans are for your future and for your children's future. Now we've been talking about the child all the while. Even for us as individuals, right? I'm glad to let you know that there's a life policy cover over my life. That keeps me rest assured. And know that if eventually it's time to go, everybody wants to live long, but then there are plans in place. So back to your question on how we would, navigate through the fact that people think that insurance is expensive. The first step is what we are doing, which is reaching out to them, and their own responsibility is to now sit down with us and let us look at the plans that fit into your own plans and the future of your children and yourself. So doing this would, go a long way for us bridging that gap of thinking that insurance is extremely expensive. Again, lastly, the HNIs don't always want to come down. So for every moment they are blazing your phones, they are calling you, what can I do? Can I have insurance for this and that to secure, that particular thing? So my advice is for us, reach out to an advisor, walk into our office, call us, and let us sit down with you to explore the opportunities that you tend to get when you take up an insurance policy with Coronation Life Assurance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dele, for that. I think one thing I'm going to say to us parents and guardians is, let us take the future of our children seriously. And one of the ways to do that is to get on insurance policies. We have education policies, that secures their future. We usually say that our children are the leaders of tomorrow. So in order not to avert them from being the leaders of tomorrow, please let us take practical actions to secure their future. Thank you once again, Mr. Ayodele. Ladies and gentlemen, what a rich conversation we have had today. I want to sincerely thank all our panelists, Mr. Segun Aremu, Mrs. Olufumi Adenipekun, our keynote speaker, Mr. Ayodele Kumolu Johnson, for this insightful session. And we've seen that protecting your children's future is not just about hopes and dreams. We have to make practical financial choices today. And from one of the things that our panelists had mentioned, or we have learned today, we've seen that when we talk about financial literacy, when we talk about financial decision making, financial strategies, do not leave insurance out. I'll say it again. Do not leave insurance out. When making financial decisions, do not leave insurance out. I'll refer again to what Mr. Segun said. Do not build what you know you will not protect. Protect what you are building. If you are building your wealth, protect it by taking on insurance policy. If you are grooming your children, protect them by taking on education plans that will help secure their future. On behalf of Coronation Life Assurance Limited, I would like to sincerely thank everyone for joining our webinar today. I want to thank Mr. Vincent Asekeme for the opening remark. I want to thank Mr. Ayodele Kumolu Johnson for the keynote session. You laid the foundation, and our brilliant panelists for the deep insights that they have shared with us today. Most importantly, I want to thank you, our dear audience, our parents, our guardians, for your time and for your engagement in today's session. We hope you are leaving here empowered to take bold steps in safeguarding your child's tomorrow. You can also follow us on our LinkedIn page at Coronation Life Assurance and Coronation Insurance PLC. However, before we go, please let's welcome Mr. Adebowale Popola to give us the closing remark. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Good. Okay, we are still in the morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Tolani, for this wonderful session. I want to thank all our panelists and everybody that's taking one part in this webinar. While we cannot predict life's uncertainties, we can plan for them. Insurance gives us the ability to make sure that even in difficult times, our children's dreams and needs are never put on hold. The education legacy plan is not just about paying school fees. It's about covering the essentials, keeping a home stable, footing important bills, and giving children the financial securities to grow without interruption. It's a promise that your care continues to protect them no matter what happens to you. We are grateful to our keynote speakers, our panelists, our moderator for sharing their expertise. And most importantly, we want to thank our audience for being part of this conversation. Your presence today shows just how much you care about securing your children's future. Then, as you reflect on what you've learned today, we will encourage you to take the next step. You can speak to us at Coronation Life Assurance Limited using the details showing on your screen. We want to implore you to, subscribe to the Education Legacy Plan and see how you can start building the safety net for your children's education. Until next time, when we will gathering together to share insights on insurance and things relating to insurance, we want to encourage you to keep building for your children's education, for your children's future. Thank you once again, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adebowale. So we have a claim testimonials from some of our customers. We could not bring that up because of some technical issues, but the link to watch those testimonials will be sent to your email. So you can see that people that are also buying these insurance policies, in the event of uncertainties, they are able to get their claims. Thank you very much, everyone. See you at the next edition. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, Tolani. Thank you, Ayodele.
Bye,
Thank you,
Tolani. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Tolani.